Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In It Together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC, In It Together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Trey Taylor.
Happy Thursday and welcome to Coping with Trey Taylor. I'm Trey Taylor, and today is No Justice, No Peace. Every second Thursday of the month, we talk to the folks at the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. Attorney Byron Gibson and his staff come on every second Thursday to update us about things in the community and things going on in the state and in their office. Today is no different. Norman Jackson Jr., who is the Expungement Director at the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, joins us today to tell us all about expungements, what they are, who qualifies, and how you can get them. Norman, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And then a couple of weeks ago, the Fifth Circuit Solicitor Byron Gibson brought together several funding agents that could help small nonprofits and community organizations get the so needed funding they need to do the good work that they do in our community. One of those funders is the South Carolina Department of Public Safety. Alocia joins us today, and he is with the South Carolina Department of Public Safety, and he's going to share with us all of the information, much of the information that he shared at that session. Thank you so much for joining us today. Did I get it right, Alocia?
Alocia, that's correct. Thank you.
Got it.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to all the great information that you're going to share. It was so eye-opening when you presented that information a couple of weeks ago. I'm so glad that you agreed to come on and share it with our audience too. Thanks so much.
Sure.
Absolutely. All of that and so much more coming up next on No Justice, No Peace with the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office on Coping with Trey Taylor. But first, your COVID community updates. The South Carolina State Fair will award $56,000 scholarships to South Carolina high school seniors to use at a South Carolina university, college, or institution. Now, the funds may cover tuition or other educational expenses, such as on-campus housing, a computer, or textbooks. Scholarships are awarded based on academic and extracurricular achievement, communication skills, and need. The application process closes really soon in 5 days on March 15th. So for more information, visit scstatefair.org. Yesterday, I told you about the week of immunity for suspended South Carolina drivers. You've got today and tomorrow. If you qualify for getting your record clear. Now, a lot of folks may have gotten a letter in the mail. If you didn't get a letter in the mail and you want to know if you qualify for this immunity week, visit scdmvonline.com. Now, once you've cleared your license, you can apply for a new license. You may have to show proof of insurance. SCDHEC has your most up-to-date list of times, dates, and locations for COVID testing and our COVID vaccinations in and around South Carolina. Visit scdhec.gov for more information. You can still get those 5 free rapid self-tests by logging on to covidtest.gov. Now, even if you have gotten your first 5, you qualify for another 4. You may have heard in the President's State of the Union address last week that you can now qualify for 4 additional tests. Again, go to covidtests.gov. COVID vaccinations are being done for veterans at the VA. So if you are a veteran, stop by the VA or check out the information on the screen. Several other places in and around South Carolina, Lexington Medical Center, retailers like Kroger pharmacies are offering COVID vaccines. CVS is offering COVID vaccines, including those in Target stores. Walgreens is also offering COVID vaccinations and free N95 masks. And the Brooklyn Baptist Church vaccination clinic is still open 7 days a week. You can see that information on the screen. Now, the Comet bus system at their main location in Columbia at the corner of Sumter and Laurel Streets are also doing COVID vaccinations. And if you are having a problem getting a ride to get your COVID vaccination, don't miss your shot. You can get a free ride via the Comet. Now, if you need some help making your appointment because you are technologically challenged, you can call Get Set Up and they will help you get set up with your COVID vaccine appointment. FEMA is continuing to give COVID funeral reimbursement if you have a loved one that passed due to COVID. And the South Carolina Bar Association and SC Legal Services has a toll-free number and website for rental and mortgage help. Lexington County's Bill Assistance Program is still going on. SC Housing and Dominion Energy has a rental and utilities assistance program. And SC Hopes has a 24-hour assistance line from the South Carolina Department of Mental Health. A couple other things that I wanted to mention to you. And I'm going to ask our producer, Charity, to bring these new PSAs up that we just got in. That's right. This one here. This is about first steps. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago about the countdown to kindergarten. If your organization can host an event to help kids get ready for kindergarten, First Steps has funding to help you. Now, the deadline to apply, it's April the 1st. Visit the information on the website, scfirststeps.org for more information. Okay. And then they are having a First Steps Summit to help teachers, educators, and community partners get ready for kindergarten. Again, it's the Countdown to Kindergarten Virtual Summit. You can see that information on the screen. If you are interested, please follow the link and check that out. Okay. All right. So you are watching No Justice, No Peace from the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. We are actually streaming live on their Facebook page. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow. Not only will you get notifications as to when to watch No Justice, No Peace every second Thursday. Man, I tell you, they've got so many great resources on that Fifth Circuit Solicitors page. Go over there, hit like and share, and definitely follow. Now, we're also streaming live on the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook. That's the home of Coping with COVID. Please go over there again, hit like and share and follow. Get notifications as to when we go live Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with SCDHEC, In It Together SC, and the Diabetes Action Council for Wellness Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then first Monday with comedian George Wallace with Fun Day Monday. It's Coping with COVID and the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook. We're also streaming live on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button over there. Listen, we've been on the air since 2020 when the pandemic first started. So we've got all kinds of great content on the YouTube channel. And also there you can find past episodes of Coping with Trey Taylor. We also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. Okay. Now, all of the information that I just told you about, all of the vaccination information, the funding information, you can find it scrolling at the bottom of the screen. That's right. Throughout the show, you can see all of that information scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So please check it out. Still, so many people need information. Post and share so we can get the message to the masses. I'm Trey Taylor, and you're watching No Justice, No Peace with the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. And today we welcome Norman Jackson. He's the director of the Expungement Department at the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. Thank you, Norman Jackson Jr., not to be confused with your dad, Norman Jackson Sr.
Correct, yes.
But you look like him a little bit. You don't have the accent.
No, he didn't give me the accent, unfortunately. I'm still mad at him about that. Yeah.
Oh man, right. I know, right?
Yeah.
But you were born here?
I was born in Hopkins, South Carolina.
But your dad wasn't, right?
Kingston, Jamaica.
See? That's
Yeah.
why you don't have the.
I know, but I still kind of want it. It would be cool to have.
You can get it. You can just make believe you got.
Yeah, it didn't work out too well for Miss Cleo, so I don't want to go down that path.
Oh wow. So Norman, tell us first about what expungements are. Now you are the expungement director over at the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, and people hear a lot about what are expungements. So we're gonna bring your information up and find out what are expungements first of all.
So an expungement is whenever you have a criminal charge, and that charge, anything related to that charge, whether it's a conviction, any notes, any reports, all of that is destroyed and erased permanently, so it never existed.
Okay.
And an expungement essentially is a second chance. It's almost forgiveness, if you will, for something you were prosecuted for. If you were convicted, and if you were not convicted, then you still have a right to have that cleaned and cleared off of your record.
Now, is this anyone who's done anything, Norman, or is it just for some crimes?
So it's a strange law sometimes because there are a lot of nuances to it. However, anyone can apply for an expungement. Doesn't mean they're going to be eligible. There are a lot of charges in South Carolina, if you're convicted of, that won't meet eligibility. And you're talking about your very violent crimes for the most part, or certain types of felonies that if you're convicted of, that will not be eligible. However, there are some situations where higher level charges can be expunged from your record. There's also statutes for your lower level charges being eligible. And then anything that you've been charged with that was dismissed is eligible for expungement. One thing I do stress to people is there's an idea that, like your credit report, things fall off after a few years, and that is just not the case. If you were fingerprinted and arrested for something,
Wow.
until it is expunged from your record, it is still on there. So we do encourage people to visit Sled first to get a copy of their Sled report, so they know what's on there. It's the same as if you're checking your credit. You want to make sure everything is accurate on there. And if not, what can be done to clean it up?
That's such good advice because, listen, I think, people have done things when they were a kid, when they were a teenager, and then they've gone through life and not had another incident, but it could come back up. And you make a great point. It doesn't just drop off. It stays there.
Absolutely. It's something we've been dealing with a lot, especially the last 2 years with COVID, and the economy kind of tanked for a while. And now that it's starting to rebound, people are looking for work or different, careers. Right. And so they've had to address their criminal history that's been there for a while. And some people do forget, people make mistakes, and it's an opportunity to clean those mistakes up if you can, so you can move forward. And that's really what the solicitor's office offers. So, a lot of people just look at the solicitor or just district attorney as someone who just prosecutes.
Yeah.
And the office is much more than the traditional district attorney. The solicitor himself is very much invested in making sure that the services that we offer, reach everybody in Richland and Kershaw County, and that, we can move forward and help people. He has this saying that, whenever they're prosecuting, they can take your liberty without taking your dignity.
Yeah.
Well, he's all about your dignity as well. He's all about respect. And in that same breath, he also believes that you've made mistakes before, you've paid for it, and you should, have an opportunity at least to see if you can clean it, move on from it, and live a productive life doing whatever you want to do. So as vested as he is on one side, he's also very much vested in the other side, which are the programs that help everyday citizens like you and me.
Yeah. First of all, you did a great commercial just now for the solicitor. Listen, my marketing brain is going. The next time he runs, he's got to get you to say something. But you are right. You are right. And that's one thing I admire about the solicitor, is that he is really he's just such a decent person. He really is about the business of making sure people's rights are upheld and people have dignity within the process, and the people are getting the services that they need. And this is one of those things, as you say, that I think a lot of people, there's a gray area about
Right.
expungement. So thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, so you told us what an expungement is. I want to ask, can you also get your record expunged even if you serve time? Because I know you said if you were handcuffed or fingerprinted, you have some type of record. Is that the same as if you were in jail? Can you get some of those charges expungible?
Yes. Again, it does depend. I very anytime I'm talking about what's eligible, I make sure that it's kind of general in how I'm speaking, simply because there are a lot of people who everybody's situation is unique, and I don't want to be specific in saying, well, if you do this exactly and only serve this amount of time, then you could be eligible. No record is alike typically,
Right.
so you do have certain situations where they are, and in this office, we go through a great length of trying to fit whatever your situation is into a certain statute to make sure we can try our best to get it off. Now, I will say sometimes it just will try and it can't. Sometimes, we have to go by what the law says. And if the law says that this is not eligible and it won't come off, then, we have another route we can take, another option so we can go. But we do try our best to make sure that whatever is on your record, if we can find a way to make it eligible for expungement, we do try our best to make that happen.
Right. Want to say hi to Mike Walker, who says good afternoon. Mitchell Peace Joy Jen says good afternoon. Great topic today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Also, Mitchell wanted to know, Norman, does this include traffic violations?
Traffic violations are tricky. For the most part, we don't expunge traffic violations. However, if there's an incident where you were arrested during some sort of traffic incident and it made it onto your Sled report, there are instances where we can have that removed from the record. It probably shouldn't have been on there. And law enforcement generally have been a much better job of not tacking on certain charges. If somebody were charged with a car wreck or something like that, or reckless driving, and then they tacked on speeding to it. The speeding shouldn't really be on there, and we can't have that removed. But for the most part, if you have traffic violations that you're concerned about, typically that won't be on your Sled report. But if you have concerns, you need to reach out to the magistrate court or the municipal court that had the jurisdiction of that particular charge, and they would be the ones to address it, as well as address it with the DMV.
Right. All right. Mitchell Peace Joy Jen, thank you so much. Also, Catherine Mack Jackson says, great information, Norman St. Anthony Jackson Jr. I bet that's somebody in your family. That's your mama?
No, well, she's like my mama though. She's my extra mom, if you will, and she's doing great things with City of Columbia. She's a wonderful person, and she's a great resource as well. So she's someone who's doing great work in the community as well. And I do believe with our relationship with City of Columbia, with the Solicitor's office, it's great to have people over there who are dedicated as well to serving the people. Public service is a strange thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people from the outside in think it's just some easy task. And truth be told, you spend lots of hours trying to figure out ways to help people, and there's a lot against you. And so, we always do our best to make sure that we give props to the people out there in public service positions on all levels, because it is hard work, but it is rewarding whenever you can see it through. And so, that's good to the people of City of Columbia and to the hard workers in our office as well. Downstairs, they utilize our programs a lot. And so, from the prosecutors to the program managers up here, it's hard work reaching out to 2 counties. Richland County is pretty big, and it's packed in with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people to serve. So it's an interesting job, but it is wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine Jackson. All right, so let's get into what expungement is. Okay, so we talked about what it is. Tell us what the process is. If you tell people, first of all, go to Sled, find out even what is on your record, and then what needs to happen, Norman.
So we always tell people, when you find out what's on your record, also make sure that when you're coming to our office, just know that we can only expunge things in South Carolina, especially in our county. So if you have a charge in Florida, for instance, the solicitor's office, we can't do anything about an out-of-state charge. So, that is something to keep in mind. But typically what will happen is when you come to our office and you fill out your application, you should also bring a copy of your SLED report. That way we can know what we're looking for, but more importantly, you can know as well. So that way we're sharing that information together and you're in the know as well about the process.
Let me ask you something, Norma. Does it cost to get a SLED report?
It does. It costs $25 for SLED to get a SLED report. And the good thing about the SLED report as well is if there's something on there and you don't recognize it at all, or you think it could be wrong, you can, when you contact us about it, we can gladly look into it for you. And the reason why I stress that is I've had situations where people pull their SLED report and there's a host of charges on there that are not their charges. They could have a family member that used their name or it was just input incorrectly. And when you have that, we can go in there and work with SLED to clean it up. So that is another advantage to having a SLED report is you want to make sure you're not being punished for something that has nothing to do with it.
Right.
That's a good thing. So, yes.
Yeah. All right. So you bring in your SLED report. You guys look it over. As you said, if you had a crime spree in 5 or 6 other states, you got to go to those other states to take care of that.
Yeah. Yes. If you have some things in other states, just deal with them on that. However, afterwards, what will happen is we will review your record and we will see if what the law offers, what the law says applies to your record for expungement. So, for instance, one of the charges I see more than anything is possession of marijuana. Well, a lot of times you'll see now they offer something called a conditional discharge, where if you essentially, when you go to court, if you're offered that and for 6 months you stay out of trouble and you pass a drug test, sometimes 2 drug tests, the judge will dismiss that charge. And then once he dismisses it, then by law, you have to pay for it to come off of your record. That way you were never found guilty of it. You were charged, but it was dismissed. So we will look at certain areas of the law to see how it can apply to you. And if it does apply to you, then we will let you know if it's a charge for it to come off of your record or if it's free to come off of your record.
All right. So here you make a good point. Again, is there a charge? Is it free? What are the typical charges?
So there really are no typical charges when it comes to just because everybody's record is so different. You'll see something from fraudulent checks. You'll see shoplifting charges, assault and battery, domestic violence, weapons charges, and then you'll see higher level charges as well. The important thing to note about that is if you have a charge for which you were found not guilty, just outright not guilty or dismissed, then that charge is free for expungement. And all you have to do, if it happened in, we call it general sessions court, so that's your higher level charges happening in the Main Street courthouse, then all you have to do is apply. And once you apply, we can start the expungement process for you there. And it's free. You don't pay for those. That's something good for people to know.
That is great. Norma, what about if it did happen when you were a kid? If it happened like 30, 40 years ago, do you still have to pay? Does that qualify you for a free get out of jail card?
Well, in that instance, it won't be free, I can tell you, but what we do have is something called the Youthful Offender Act. Now, it doesn't apply to everyone, but the law essentially says that if you were between the age of 17 and 25 when you committed the crime and were convicted of it, if you were sentenced under the YOA, or if it happened before 2010 and you were still between that age, then we can possibly get that charge off of your record. You can possibly pay to have that expunged from your record. So there are some situations where that can happen.
All right. Now, what about, you said that was from 17 to 25. What about if the charges happened when you were youth, when you were under 16 or under 17?
Right. So typically juvenile cases, juvenile charges, don't show up on a regular SLED report
Oh,
anyway.
okay.
I can see it and law enforcement can see it, but it's not for the public to see. So because of that, there is a juvenile expungement. You still have to eventually meet the requirement of being 18 years of age before you can apply for it to be expunged. However, it is something where people, young folks, are sentenced to under a certain part of the law. And then when they hit 18, they contact our office. And once they contact us, we do start the expungement process for them if they're eligible. So they do have situations like that where someone was 14 or 15 and they committed a crime, and we can go and still look at that and expunge that if it does meet eligibility.
You're watching No Justice, No Peace with the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office on Coping with Trey Tailor. I'm Trey Tailor. Norman Jackson Jr. joins us. He is the director of expungement at the, then that looks nothing like you. I'll just tell you. I guess it's the facial hair. I guess it's the facial hair.
During COVID months, I had to grow it out a little bit. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
And he joins us today, and he's telling us the who, what, where, when, and why about expungements. All right. So go to Sled, find out what's on your record, come back to the solicitor's office, see what can be expunged and how much it costs. What's next, Norman?
So after we go through the process, the initial process of what's going on with your record, essentially the next part is really our office, that's really where we do our work. From there, I deal with a host of agencies that are aligned with how expungements work and can come off of your record, and then we kind of review it, and then we go from there. And then once it's approved, then there's a list of signatures we have to get, because it is a judicial process. Mm-hmm. So, you have to get judges' signatures, the solicitor's signature, and then we have to get it certified, and then it comes off your record. And the one thing I say, a lot of people have, whenever they have some sort of criminal record or even a traffic ticket, it's on the public record typically. So it's not something that's being hidden. It's not something where I know about it, but you can't. You can go on the public record and see it. However, whenever someone is typically dealing with a criminal charge, there are a lot of agencies that are involved in the process. So when we expunge a record, it's not just coming off of your criminal record, it's coming off of the public record. Mm-hmm. And any agency that has any connection to it, whether it's bond court, preliminary hearings, a magistrate court, we make sure that it's wiped clean everywhere. So that is an important piece. But there is one thing I want to stress. Typically, let's say someone goes and they apply for a job. That job, for the most part, that job won't file a SLED report. They'll do your background check. They won't do a typical SLED report because SLED reports cost $25, and that company's not going to do it. So they do something called third-party background checks, which are these companies that use internet searches, and they charge $3, $5, $7, and whatever they find on the internet, that's what they use, even if it's not you. So sometimes people are punished for a background check system that has nothing to do with them. It could be Kelly Smith, and because the date of birth is a day off, they'll say that's you, and it's not. So you run into those problems. It's not fair. It's something we would hope the state addresses at some point, but that does happen. So, one reason why we always stress the SLED reports, but also when you come into our office, is that if you're dealing with a situation where you're on the cusp of possibly getting a new job, and a third-party background check is kind of hindering you, our office typically will do whatever we can to clear that up, to make sure that's one less hurdle for you to go through, so you can get that employment, or whether it's adoption or buying a house, whatever's preventing you because of the charges on your record. We will do our best to clean up whatever mess some third party created on your behalf.
Yeah. What else do people need to know, Norman, about the expungement process?
So the one thing I want to stress, actually, even with the expungement process, just because you have a felony on your record, it doesn't mean that you lose your voting rights. And whenever you have something expunged from your record, the expungement doesn't give you your voting rights. Typically, you don't lose your voting rights in South Carolina. Every state has their own set of laws for that. But if you had something expunged, it's not going to restore your voting rights because you typically never lost them. So the biggest thing with expungement is that you get a chance to redo something. You get a chance for forgiveness. And the reason why I speak on this is the person who created all of this, the expungement laws, the diversion programs. He was a valued member of our office, and he recently passed away, actually, and 2 weeks ago. And he believed in a second chance. And, we learned directly from him. His name is William Bilton. We learned directly from him. And so, it's something where if you come to our office and it can't be expunged, please don't hang your head low. We can find another way to deal with the record, to deal with it. It's not the end all be all. Yes, you want something expunged first, but if it doesn't come off, then we will find a way. But we're not going to turn our back on you simply because it can't come off of your record. Our office essentially exists to make sure we can help clear hurdles for you whenever you're moving forward. So, if there's one thing I can tell the public, and this is one of the most important things, you don't need a lawyer to go through this process. People pay a lot of money to lawyers, and I'm sure I may get a lawyer who calls me and you may not tell me nice things about this, but a lot of people go to lawyers and to get an expungement done. You don't need a lawyer for it. You just need to get the Sled report and fill out the application. We will guide you through the process. A lawyer's not going to be able to make it any quicker, pull any strings. It still goes through the solicitor's office. And so don't stress about not getting a lawyer or not having a lawyer for it. We will walk you through the process to get you from point A to point Z.
Yeah, great. I'm glad you mentioned the attorney part, because that was going to be my next question. Should you get a lawyer? So the first thing is go to Sled, find out what you have there, and then come to your office, and you and the folks in your department will take it from there.
Yes, ma'am. That's really how it starts. And we, especially hopefully with COVID, coming down, the numbers seem to be coming down, but as we all know, anything can happen still. So we're still dealing with it. And, I've lost family members, people who've lost family members to it. So it's still very serious.
Yeah.
But as the numbers go lower, eventually we'll go back out into the public, so to the churches and the community centers. And we will have our workshops, and I will speak publicly on the expungement process. So, if people want more access to that, they can call us. They can call us, and we'll gladly speak with them to see if we can schedule things. If they just have general questions as well, they can give us a call, and we can go from there.
All right. Norman Jackson Jr., he is the director of expungement at the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. You can see his office number and email address right there on the screen. Call them if you want more information, if you have questions. Either way, call if you know that you have a criminal record or had a criminal record. And I guess I would just say, too, don't be ashamed to just ask and find out. We all got a past. And so, just get yours taken care of so that you can, just go on and live a healthy and a happy life. Norman Jackson Jr. with the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. Thank you again so much for joining us today on No Justice, No Peace. We appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming up next, the solicitor hosted an event a couple of weeks ago that focused on getting the needed funding that many of our small nonprofits and community organizations need. Coming up, we're going to talk with one of those grantors, one of those organizations that presented some great funding opportunities. Alocia John Anderson with the South Carolina Department of Public Safety is coming up next on No Justice, No Peace from the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. I'm Trey Taylor. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Aiken-Cochran. As Miss America, I know that taking care of yourself is important. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. 90% of South Carolinians who have it don't know they have it. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join a diabetes prevention program. Brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday life. But when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
When it comes to you, I have all anything, money, finances, access to. That you will save your money, Davis Tax Service. Only tax drive-through, Davis Tax Service. Look up, come to you, Davis Tax Service. Handling your money out of the Davis Tax Service.
Visit Davis Tax Service today, 803-419-1001.
The Comet gives me a reliable source of transportation.
It's very convenient to me, and they have wonderful drivers.
It's clean, and it builds community. It's fun to meet people.
It makes me feel like really independent. It's just fun.
It's always going to be there, and it gets me everywhere I need to go.
We try to ride every single day. Comedy is our livelihood.
Hi, I'm Trey Taylor, and you are watching No Justice, No Peace from the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office every second Thursday here on Coping with Trey Taylor. I'm Trey Taylor. Hey, please continue to post, like, and share. We're streaming live on the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office page. Please go over there, like and follow. Check out No Justice, No Peace. And of course, check out all of the great information shared on the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office Facebook page. We're also streaming live on the Tailor Made production page. That's the home of Coping with COVID. Please like, share, and follow over there too. And check out all of the great information, COVID related and community related, that is shared on that Tailor Made production page on Facebook. Also on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. I want to say hi to all of you YouTubers. Hey, don't forget that you can watch past episodes back from 2020 on that Tailor Made production page on YouTube. We also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. A few weeks ago, the solicitor hosted a meeting for area nonprofits and community-based organizations that help youth and teen. The focus was funding. That's always something that's needed for a lot of these small and large nonprofits, as a matter of fact. It's often a huge challenge. One of the presenters was a South Carolina native and Clemson grad, Alocia Anderson. He's the Justice Grant Programs Manager in the Office of Highway Safety and Justice Programs at the South Carolina Department of Public Safety. Thank you so much. Do people call you Al?
They do not.
I don't believe it. I don't believe that right now. So do they try to call you Al and then you say, no, call me Alocia?
That's correct.
That's what happens.
Yeah. I've many have tried, none have succeeded in calling me Al.
I love that. You're like, no, they don't call me Al, because I was trying to get out of it. I was just trying to call you Al. Well, look, I'm gonna call you Mr. Anderson. Alocia. I get once you keep, you can do it because you've been doing it a long time. Alocia. Here we go. All right.
There you go.
So Alocia, tell me about the funding available at the South Carolina Department of Public Safety, because here's the thing. I think people think, why does the Department of Public Safety even have funding?
Sure. So the South Carolina Department of Public Safety is the designated state agency for criminal and juvenile justice funding that is allocated to South Carolina. When I say allocated, I mean in a formula that each state gets allocated a certain amount of funding. And so we're the designated state agency for the Bureau of Justice Assistance, as well as NHTSA and the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. And so when you think about public safety, which is, our department, We receive funds to increase public safety. That's the goal. We save lives on our highways as well as in our communities.
Oh, okay. Want to say hi to Marjorie Hammock. She says, loving your vibe. Hope to see you soon. Queen. She's a queen. Alocia. So thank you, Ms. Hammock. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. So every state gets funding. You guys have funding. Now, is it specifically, Alocia's, for programs that help youth and teens?
No, not specifically. That's just one program. The Juvenile Justice Title II formula, or Charles E. Grassley formula program, is dedicated solely to improving outcomes in our justice system for children and youth who are system involved or at risk of being system involved. We've got other programs that are eligible for use in our adult criminal justice system, whether they be for our local law enforcement, court systems, as well as nonprofits who may be in the business of reentry assistance or housing for ex-offenders or what have you.
All right, so it runs the gamut.
Yes.
So who qualifies for this type of funding, Alocia?
Qualify for our different programs. Most of our programs, the eligible applicants are very similar. Like I said, state and local law enforcement, the court system partners, or we call any justice stakeholder is what I say, as well as nonprofits who have a nexus to our criminal justice system.
So tell me, what types of fundings are there? Can you go through the types of programs and funding that's available?
Sure. I'll actually tell you what we have that's available. The applications are actually open right now. That'll give you a good place to start.
Okay.
On our website, I'll just take a few minutes to walk you through what programs are available.
This is the website that we're looking at now.
Sure. And so I often tell a lot of our stakeholders, the information is there and it's not hard to find. If you go to our website, our organization and our Office of Highway Safety and Justice Programs, it'll take you right to our page, Office of Highway Safety and Justice Programs, our mission. And then you can see each program banner here are programs that are actually accepting applications right now. You see the basic information, and then I'll click on one of these for you, and we'll drill down to the two that are probably most relevant to our conversation today. And that's the JAG Assistance Grant Program and the Juvenile Justice Grants Program. Let's see if this should come up pretty quick here. Sure.
Okay.
Sure it does. And so each banner will give you an award overview and schedule. I'll go to the solicitation for you, and then it'll also give you some great short videos over here that gives you information about each individual program.
Okay.
As well as application instructions. So we try to give you as much information as we can. We assist you in putting forth the best application you can. So this is our Justice Assistance Grant Program that we call JAG, but there's also our Juvenile Justice Formula Program. And just take 1 second to open up that application. You'll see in the first few pages, you find your introduction, your purpose, and then each eligible applicant. Okay, if we scroll down real quickly here, there are your eligible applicants. Police departments, state courts, private, nonprofit agencies are eligible to be funded directly.
Wow. About how much funding can people get? What's the cost? What's the price? What's the amount? What's the amount of some of the grants? Does it run the gamut?
Yes, it does. Annually, our office, our justice sections receives about roughly $5 million a year.
Wow.
But again, that's for 8 different programs. So if you want to be more specifically, the Juvenile Justice Program receives around $500,000 every year. Wow. And that's not as a competitive grant application as our Justice Assistance Grant Program. We see many more JAG applications than we see juvenile justice applications. And I think that's, primarily because our law enforcement agencies understand that the Justice Assistance Program is an opportunity for them to create programs and, it will provide equipment purchases for them as well. So we are actively trying to develop our applicants for our juvenile justice program.
It's a No Justice, No Peace from the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office on coping with Trey Tailor. I'm Trey Tailor. Alocia Anderson is with us today. He is with the South Carolina Department of Public Safety. He's sharing with us all of the various funding opportunities for community groups, nonprofits, and others through the Department of Public Safety. So, Alocia, people can go to the website. You're smiling. I'm getting it right. It's getting easier. I feel pretty proud of myself. So people go to the website, see what is available. And you said earlier, and I was going to ask this, and I'm glad you said this, that you also help people with the process, because that's the other thing I think about, especially when we're talking about smaller organizations that are doing some great work, that grassroots work in our community. They don't have the infrastructure or the knowledge to know how to apply for some of these things.
That is very true. That's very true. And it, not just our nonprofits, but our small local entities as well, whether they be state government or nonprofit. And that's something that we pride ourselves on in this office, the Office of Highway Safety and Justice Programs. You can call us and we will take you through the resources that are available. We'll provide you other resources that help you. We want to make sure that even though you can't or don't have a grant manager or grant coordinator or grant writer available to you, that you still can compete with the big boys, so to speak.
Right.
So get us on the phone, but I'll also show you, like I said, over here on the right side of our website, you will find these workshop videos that are very helpful as you get ready to prepare your application. You see application instructions here, application instructions. There are 3 videos there.
Right.
And then lastly, to assist folks with applications, we also have application tools that you can click on, and it'll take you directly to some additional information. We'll go step by step. What is a good project, program narrative, or goals and objectives, how to make goals and objectives. So we do all we can to provide customer service to our stakeholders across the state.
I'm sure that each of the grants have different deadlines. Are any open right now?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And I'll take you right back to our splash page for the Office of Highway Safety and Justice Programs. And here's where you will find which grants are available right now and their deadlines. So you can see Justice Assistance Grant Program open on March 24th. Our Juvenile Justice Grant Program open here on the 14th, and it'll close April the 15th. And then there are a few others down a little further that applicants, nonprofit agencies may not be applicable.
Right. So any other information, tips, guidance that you can share with nonprofits, small businesses, organizations, people in our community that would be interested in these funding opportunities? Anything else you can share, Alocia?
Sure. A couple things. One, like I said, call us, start with us. If you have a program that's already up and running and you are looking for funding to enhance your program or enhance the community around you, start with our program coordinators, and they can guide you to which program you may be eligible for. And then when you find that program, what the funding priorities are. We don't want you to waste a lot of time preparing an application if you're not eligible, number one, nor if your program meets any of the current funding priorities. And again, I keep taking you back to the site, but in our grant solicitations, you'll find very quickly who's eligible, as well as the funding priorities of each of those programs. This is our JAG funding priority list, and you'll see down here corrections and community corrections, mental health and law enforcement related programs. Each of these community serving type programs are eligible for funding with JAG money.
Wow. So if people want more information, do they call you, Alocia?
Sure. They can call me and I get in touch with the right person on our team that'll connect them to the right funding resource.
All right, you can see Alocius's information there, his office, his cell, his email address, the website that we've been looking at today. Check out the website. Give Alocius a call. He'll help you as much as he can to help you figure out what grant is best for your organization, for what you're doing, help you through the grant writing and grant application process. And anything else you need, just remember to call him Alocia. Don't call him Al, because that's not his name.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Alocia.
One other thing too, you said graduated from Clemson, and that's Claflin.
Oh, you graduated from Claflin. See,
thank you very much.
Let me see. Let me look at my notes. See, what I saw was Clemson. I'm just reading what I saw, and that's a totally different thing. Clemson and Claflin.
It is.
All right. Alocia Anderson, South Carolina native and Claflin grad. He is with the South Carolina Department of Public Safety. Check out their website and find out all the information you need to know about grant information and grant funding for your nonprofit and your organization. Alocia, before you go, is that a family name, Alocia?
It is. My second cousin's middle name is Alocia. His name is Ira Alocia P. And I made the name cool because he didn't like it at all.
Well, listen, you are committed to it. I mean, when I said, "Can I call you?" I was like, "No, you can't call me Al." And then before we got on the air, because I thought, and you know what? Looking at it, it is Alocia, but I guess I was thinking Aloysius, and you immediately said Alocia. So yeah. I love that you are committed to the name. I have to ask you, do you have any children?
I do. I have two children.
Alocia?
Hughes Alocia Anderson and Zeb Allen Anderson.
All right. I was going to ask, is one of them named Alocia?
That's right. That's right.
That's great. That's great. Now he's going to make it cooler than you did.
He will. He will. Already is.
All right. Alocia, thank you so much for joining us today and for the work that you're doing over there at the Department of Public Safety. I mean, I could tell when you were at the workshop a couple of weeks ago that you were really committed to making sure, especially these smaller organizations, these folks that are really doing the work in these communities, these grassroots organizations that are really touching the people in our communities that, like I said, may not have the resources, the expertise, definitely not the funding, but you are committed to helping them. So thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing for our community. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. Alocia S. Anderson with the South Carolina Department of Public Safety. You can see his information on the screen. Make sure you contact him and please post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses, because this stuff is so important. Listen, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope, please email booking@copingwithtreytaylor.com. Booking@copingwithtreytaylor.com. The website and email address is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If you've got a product or service that could help someone cope, please email copingwithtreytaylor@gmail.com. Copingwithtreytaylor@gmail.com. We would love for you to be a proud sponsor, just like SCDHEC, In It Together SC, and the Diabetes Action Council. They sponsor Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. Of course, the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, they sponsor No Justice, No Peace every second Thursday. Javis Tax Services, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Services, Black Pages Black Expo. The expo is this weekend in Charleston. Come check it out. Kiera, Kiki Sheeran, and also Anthony Anderson will be there Saturday at the expo in Charleston. Also the Comet Bus System, Palmetto Media Connections, and also Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. Now, tomorrow, we've got another jam-packed show. Join us as we talk with the folks with the Brooklyn Foundation, their health and wellness program. They're having their 20th annual community health fair coming up. We're going to talk to those folks. Plus, author Monica Upson talks about her brand new book. We're going to talk with those ladies and more coming up tomorrow on Coping with COVID. Listen, as usual, I leave you with a reading, and I've been reading this month, actually since the beginning of the year. It's a book called Conversations with God from Cheryl Mims Williams. She's with Agape Counseling and Training Services. And this is a combination of scriptural readings and some of her journal writings. This one says, God Just let me focus on my relationship with you. I desire to do what you want me to do. Amen. Thank you that you and I are one. Father, I thank you that I hear about you, learn about you, read about you. My soul yearns to know more about you. Father, I thank you in this day. The earth is yours and the fullness thereof. You are the joy of my strength. What a beautiful prayer. My desire, Father, is for spiritual wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in every aspect of my life. I pray for discernment as to how to live my life and what I need to do and not to do. I just want to spend my life trusting and praising you, trusting you to do whatever your word says, whatever your will is for my life. If you say it, I believe it. That's today's devotional from Conversations with God, Cheryl Mims Williams. It's a beautiful devotional, again, filled with some of her journal writings and scriptural readings. I'm Trey Taylor. Thank you again so much for joining us on No Justice, No Peace. Until the next time, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. Take care. God bless. Stay well. Get your vaccination. And don't forget to wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. We'll see you later.
Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Trey Taylor.